Manchester United survived the late Fulham onslaught to maintain their drive for the Champions League thanks to Benjamin Sesko's late goal at Old Trafford in Sunday's 3-2 win. And in this video, Sun Sports tactical guru Dean Scoggins alongside me, Will Pugh, are going to unveil 3 hidden tactical gems from Michael Carrick's win. Dino, let's get straight into it. Point number 1.
Yeah, point number 1 is Cunha the Wanderer. So it was a different tactic from Carrick, but let's just say for a start, statement win against Manchester City, go and beat Arsenal on their own patch with a counter-attack style, and then a Fergie time winner. Carrick's completed it, hasn't he, already?
Man United manager completed it,
Yeah, absolutely. Tick, tick, tick. But yeah, this was slightly different. Obviously, we debated in the Team Talk show who would come in instead of Patrick Dorgu. It was Matheus Cunha, but it was Matheus Cunha in a slightly different way. So this is maybe a hidden gem that the viewers might not have seen. So it was a little bit, dare I say, a 3-4-3 shape in the way that they set up in attack.
Let's not start all this again.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. But I'm just going to show their average touch maps, their average position maps of the Man United team. And you'll see for a start that Matheus Cunha is not playing on the left. And we know that Dorgu came in at the Emirates because he scored the wonder goal from there. But this was a much more sort of planned attack to go down the Fulham left and the Man United right. And by doing that and Cunha wandering over into that position, it meant that they overloaded that right-hand side. So as well as that average position map, we show that they attacked Fulham's left back. Right. Now, you'd think Robinson is their best player, really, and one of their best players alongside Harry Wilson, obviously. But what that means is because they know Robinson's going to attack, and because Fulham attack down that side, what Carrick has identified is that that's the area for Man United to attack. Right. So it's almost like a hidden little counter-attack, because if Robinson goes forward, they go in there.
A classic game of tactical cat and mouse?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's almost like, yes, we accept that's where you're going to attack. So therefore, Diogo Dalot is not going to go flying forward from that position. So we'll see that he's on the right of a back 3 in most shapes that they play in. And then Luke Shaw goes up the other side. But first of all, let me just show the shape in the first half with a really good grab where what they're doing is they're pinning the Fulham back line back with the front 3, and then they're interchanging. And that means the left back and the right back the other side as well. But in this instance, the left back, if he comes out to where Amad Diallo is, now Amad Diallo is not right on the line, not on the top line. He's just slightly wide, almost in that wing-back position that he was playing under Ruben Amorim. And that means that the left-back sort of has to come out to him, and then United attack the space around the outside, which is where the penalty shout that was overturned by VAR came from. So that's the first thing. Then we see it from Cunha the other way. That was Cunha that made that run, by the way. But then you see it from Cunha the other way, and this is in the second half. A great grab, and well done to Joe who does the grabs because this was his spot, is that Cunha actually turns around and waves to Shaw as if to say, go on, now. And then Cunha goes into that number 10 position and Shaw goes round the outside. And it's from that position that Man United score the Cunha goal. Because Cunha he's meant to be left of the front 3 if you look at the team sheet, but he's not. He goes over into that right-hand position and then he's in that little space to receive the ball. And then Casemiro's no-look pass, which Brazilian to Brazilian, absolutely fantastic.
Brazilian to Brazilian, you being Brazilian?
No, Brazilian Cunha.
Oh,
so
right.
Casemiro to Brazilian.
Yeah. I thought it was like goat recognises goat, Brazilian recognises
the only time I ever did a no-look pass was when I had the rain in my eyes. But no, and it was absolutely brilliant. But they targeted that space. It was in that little area that they went into, and what the other thing I should point out is these Carrick connections again. They've got like a group of 4 in that. Wherever they have a good attack, they have a little group of 4 in those areas. So yeah, we'll see. Cunha's touch map as well. It's basically half on the left and half on the right, which just shows that he was given that freedom to roam. And he's got great feet. He goes both ways, and in a slightly different way to Dorgu, it means that he can get much closer to Mbeumo, who did have a bit of a quiet afternoon, but where Bruno and Mbeumo and Cunha as a 3. I mean, what an attack attacking threat that is, really. And Luke Shaw played much more like an overlapping left-back in this game than he had done when he had Dorgu in front of him.
Interesting as well, of course, Dino, that we were talking in the Team Talk show previewing this game as to whether Luke Shaw would have the sort of attacking capabilities to do exactly what you're describing, or whether it be perhaps Tyrone Malacia or someone similar to do it instead. But obviously, clearly...
Yeah, and maybe when Dorgu comes back from injury, that's then a decision for Carrick to make around, we're going to really attack down the left this time, and we'll go with Dorgu as the left back instead of Luke Shaw. But obviously, unfortunately, Dorgu's injury takes that out.
Double attacking impetus. Right, Big Ben strikes again. Benjamin Sesko, Dino, off the bench. Again, we spoke about this on the preview show, saying, is it one of those games where occupying a centre-half with a big centre-forward, or occupying two centre-halves, sorry, with a big centre-forward like Sesko from the off is the right answer, or whether he sticks with Burmo. Obviously, Sesko started on the bench, but came off the bench and did exactly what any manager would want, had a huge impact, bangs the winner in.
Yeah, he did have a huge impact. And I was surprised at the substitution in that it was Cunha who came off and not Burmo. And there was some slight issues for United in the way that they pressed after that and the way that they kept the ball. But let's focus on the good stuff in that he had a really good chance with the header, and his movement for that, peeling off the back of the centre-back, was really good in the first instance. So he gives that threat straight away from the heading, as we talked about in the Team Talk show. But we've got to talk about Bruno again as part of this. And yeah, look, Sesko gets the goal. Great moment, and how high he jumped in the celebration. Did you see how high he was? He probably could have cleared Big Ben.
I must admit, I was genuinely impressed with the composure he showed for the finish. For a man not exactly sky high on confidence, little body double when the ball's sort of behind him to turn and then just bend it in the corner in a pressure moment. Fair play.
Yeah, and we've had no-look Casemiro in the first slide, and then in this one we've got no-look Bruno and no-look Sesko. Okay, so Man United have beaten them without even looking at them, which is quite impressive, isn't it? So the first thing is that even though Cunha has gone off, as I mentioned in the first section, Bruno is then targeting that right space again. Okay, so Bruno goes into that. A great grab of this is Bruno goes into that inside half space, and it attracts Calvin Bassey out, and he has just done him up like a kipper, hasn't he? And as the ball then is about to come into Bruno, he doesn't even look where Calvin Bassey is. He can feel him. It's like a sixth sense. He knows he's there, and then as soon as Bassey gets close enough, off Bruno goes. Doesn't even look, doesn't even see him, off he goes. And then we'll show the grab of Sesko's movement, which any young centre-forward watching, he doesn't get close to the centre-back who's nearest the ball. Allow the space between those two so you can either run at the ball or run off the ball.
Yep.
So you've got both options to go. And I think it's Anderson at the front post gets it all horribly wrong and attacks the near post a little bit too quick and gets caught out. And then Sesko, who's created that little area of space himself in front of him, obviously has the time, because the cutback is slightly behind, but because he's created that space, he has the time to then stop the ball. Great touch. And then, as I said, he doesn't even look where the goal is. The goal doesn't move. So the centre-forward doesn't need to look. And what a brilliant finish. So it was really, really good from United, but it was attacking the same area after they'd made the substitution as they did before. And then again, I'll just show one more quick grab where Bruno and the wide players on the right form that little connection of four again. And that is what Carrick's coaching. That is what is coming off at the moment. And it's been miles better a result. And if you drag players into that little area, that's the space you create for a centre forward. And then he finished it off.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because people will look at centre forwards and look at the finishes and go, oh, that's the skill there. But actually, a lot of the time, same with Erling Haaland as well, it's all centre forward play is all about the positioning, isn't it? Just a couple of weeks ago, away at Leeds for Manchester United, Sesko was criticised widely. He missed what looked like a bit of a sitter, and it was actually because he positioned himself. It came at him quick, but he positioned himself outside the post. It was poor positioning. This one, you can do no-look finishes and passes if you know you're in the right place and trust your teammate's going to be in the right place.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And when in that Leeds game, we talked about how he was involved in really good link-up play outside the area, as he was in the Arsenal game when he came on as well, by the way. But in that Leeds game, he was doing it in an area of the field where he couldn't impact the penalty area afterwards. He had too much ground to cover to then get on the end of the cross. In this, United did the link-up play, get your centre-forward in the box, and then he does the rest. And we see these guys in training, you see the clips. If it falls to them 12 yards out, we see it in the warm-ups, when we're standing there waiting for the game to start, they're banging them in. And you think, why can't you do that in the game? And that they do it in the game when they get themselves in the right position and they've created themselves that little bit of space.
Yeah, absolutely. Not bad, Dino, is it? Having a £74 million super sub sitting on the bench. Just quickly, before we move on to point number 3, do you feel now that this is Manchester United's best team regardless of opponent, and that realistically Mbeumo's going to start the games up front and then Sesko comes on to make the impact that he's proven that he can off the bench?
No, I don't think it is. I think that this is showing now that where the major criticism under Ruben Amorim was the rigidness of the rigidity is the word, isn't it? Not rigidness. of the formation. So oppositions knew what was coming. And so with this, they've got a few different options. And when you're, planning to play against them now, are they going to play the big man up top and be more direct? So in which case you've got to plan slightly differently. Or are they going to play the fluid crossover front three that they did in this game? In which case you need to have your midfield in a different shape to defend against it. So they've got a couple of sort of, aces up their sleeve now.
He hasn't started under Carrick, though, is my point.
Not yet, no, but he might do. But as an opposition manager, you've got to prepare for all those eventualities now. Whereas, when it was Ruben Amorim, you go, right, this is exactly how they're going to play.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because lots of the time, especially with big teams, you like Arsenal, we talk about Arsenal a lot, and it's easy. The easy bit, not to belittle what you do, of course, is to outline and describe what they do tactically. The difficult bit is stopping it, isn't it?
Absolutely, and adjusting to that. And if you've got to go into a game with 3 plans instead of 1, then that's much more difficult for the opposition to cope
But
with.
Manchester United in that phase at the moment where they go, no, this is what we're going to do, but we're really good at it. You can't stop us yet, so we don't need to have a plan B from the off, from the start.
I'm not sure it's quite there yet. I think that's where they'd like to be. Look, they were the better team in this. They should win this without allowing Fulham back into the game. But you'll see the slight drop-off in the performance late on. I would say there are a few Man United fans who are already saying, at this point, we don't quite trust them yet.
Yeah, fair enough. There will be a few Fulham fans, by the way, and this one's for you, who will be saying, get the hell out of here at 2-2. We were the only team that looked like we were going to win the game, and it was a bit of a smash and grab.
Yeah, but it's injury time, it's Old Trafford.
Fergie time, exactly. Right, point number 3, Dino. Kobbie does the business. Mainu back into the fold after Amorim. He was sort of out of form and favour, and felt like obviously the sort of public nature of that relationship breakdown was good for no one really. But Michael Carrick coming in, fresh start for everyone. Mainu looks like he's a solid part of the setup going forward and giving his England chances the world of good.
Yeah, and Kobbie does the jobby for me. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic to see a young English player back doing what he does best. But I need to say one thing from the off. We need to big up Casemiro again. And it's the two of them as a pair that's been so impressive. I said a couple of weeks ago, it's like Mainu and his uncle in there. And now we look at it, and the real thing I want to really underline here is the drop-off when Ugarte came on. And I know I'm having a go at Ugarte a lot lately.
Yeah, again.
But the difference where I can't quite get my head around, and probably the first criticism of Michael Carrick in these first 3 games is I can't get my head around, unless Casemiro had some sort of knock and had said, I need to come off. That was a weird decision to take off Casemiro at that point. Because he was the
legs?
one. Yeah, maybe, but they were 2-0 up.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is he thinking, look, the drop-off's not going to be massive here. Ugarte's still a reasonable first-team player. He and we should be able to see out a 2-0 lead over Fulham at home.
Absolutely, yeah. But what happened? All right, first, let's go back a stage slightly. Okay, so Kobbie Mainu, what the United did well, because of in point 1, I said that they pinned that Fulham back line with the front 3. What that allowed was that Kobbie Mainu did the vast majority of his work in the attacking half, which is what the big improvement in this home game. They also didn't have that as much possession. We talked about it in Team Talk. We were like, no, you have it, you have it, you have it. It was like a very, very even possession. And you saw Lamans from the goal kicks go long much more often. There was a lack of playing out. There was a couple of times where Laman pinged it onto Luke Shaw's chest, which was really quite impressive, with his left foot, which was really good. But what the point of that is...
So good from Shaw to take it down?
Oh, both. Right. Great ball as well. But the point is that Carrick said to them before, we don't want to be having Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro playing keep ball on the edge of our own area.
Right.
We want them to play in the other half. And we'll see from Kobbie Mainoo's pass map that it was like well over 2/3 of his passes were in the attacking half, across the halfway line. And also, there were longer passes in there from Kobbie Mainoo, which was really, really good because it's taking the ball on the half turn and then it's firing it out to Amad Diallo a lot of the time, or Brian and Burmo running in that space. And actually, the build-up to the Cunha goal came from that, because Kobbie Mainoo fired the ball out early, then they had a spell of possession in the Fulham half, then Fulham sort of half cleared it, and it was Kobbie Mainoo who backed up play to then go and win the ball back that meant they went and scored the goal. But the point is about this is that when Casemiro is there, Kobbie Mainoo knows where he's going. The moment that Casemiro goes off, Kobbie Mainoo and Ugarte started to chase the ball again. And it was a bit like under Amorim, and we'll do one of our nice graphics on this, where it starts to be that the midfield two starts to get dragged out and you leave this big hole in front of the back four. And that's where they had Fulham all of a sudden had their joy. And for the couple of minutes after Fulham's first goal, you were just like, the second one's coming here, the second one's coming. But I've also got to highlight Ugarte in the goal, in the Kevin goal, because the movement he makes to his right was just like, oof, like it was so. I think it's Ryan Sessegnon who's in the little half space in between the right back and the centre back, and there's only one place he can pass the ball, and that's back to Kevin. And Ugarte's made this like enormous jump to his right to go to Sessegnon. By the time he lands, Kevin's scoring. And it's like, what is he doing going that way? But it's because he's gone out to the ball again. He's not holding that position that Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo are holding in there. And just to highlight this, I want to show Casemiro's touch map, okay? And there's these two little clusters of where he gets the ball. One that's just outside the sort of left defensive space of the area, and the other which is just outside the right defensive space of the area. And that's because he's not going outside the line of the penalty area to go and win the ball back unless they're playing keep ball up the field. That's your danger area, because the two of them are working as a two. So, yeah, Kobbie was really, really good in an attacking sense, and he kept the ball really well. But without Casemiro there, it looked like it had come apart a little bit. So that will be a huge thing for Carrick to work on this week. It's almost like the first negative that they've now got to fix in the week in the training ground. It's all been very, very positive. You know, they played it well. They dealt with having the possession better. They gave the ball back to Fulham when they didn't need it. They attacked the right space brilliantly. But there was that little bit of fragility when it came to that bit there. So, you know, there'll be a certain unhinged team from North London coming there next week trying to have a go at that, I think.
Dean Scoggins leading the Manuel Ugarte resistance movement still. Just quickly, very quickly, Dino, assuming one or two of those players, Mainoo and Casemiro, are going to have to come off in games, if it's not Ugarte, who is it?
Right, it's Mason Mount is the other option, and then
to do the Casemiro
Well,
job.
to do Bruno Fernandes, you can move back in and almost work as a three then. So you can, you know, if you're 2-0 up in a game and you're managing the game correctly and the Casemiro has to come off, then you can go to a three and say, right, we're just going to keep the ball in there. The other option, and this is a little bit rogue, is that they have got defenders coming back from injury now. De Ligt won't be long. Euro was back in there. That Martinez can move into a holding midfield role and they can have another centre-back. Now, it used to be unheard of that teams change their centre-backs in games, but almost now it's like substitution bingo that the back four gets changed at a certain point in games. So there are a couple of other options. Look, I get that Carrick has to give Ugarte that chance, but that did show something in that game that's not quite right for Man United, and that will be where teams look to get at them.